Hey, this is Tuhon Aditya from LightHaven. Last week we shared a double stick drill, a double stick combination, and we got a lot of emails about the application of it. So today we're going to be working on the applications of that drill. I'm going to be talking about not just the application in double stick but also in single knife, and the aim is going to be to show you how the same principles that apply when I'm with a longer double weapon will still apply when I'm with a shorter weapon like a knife. Let's just go over what the combination was. Now again, this is based on those same double stick principles or those same double stick patterns that I keep talking about. We're going to be using 3 of them for this one. The first one is when I'm attacking together, so it's a simultaneous attack, simultaneous fluid attack, and then we're going to have a following motion, and we're going to end it with a Sinawali motion. So let's just go over it once. I'm going to start from this loading position where one stick is on my shoulder, one stick is on my hip. From here, I'm going to try my best to keep both sticks parallel to each other and have them both doing a fluid slash until they load on my other shoulder. Now it's really up to you whether you want to load like this or whether you want to load like this or like this. It's really up to you. Both of them work. One, take it across. Now it's going to be a following motion. So my right hand attacks first and it's followed by my left hand. Again, both fluid strikes. And I'm going to come back where I began, back to this loading position from where I'm going to fire off a high Sinawali. Now it's really important that we pay attention to the specific details of the motions, of the specific motions, because in application they will matter a lot. So the details like having the sticks parallel to each other. I don't want them like this, I don't want them like this, because when I'm applying them it's not going to work as well. Details like the timing between the following, I can have another simultaneous attack, but for the sake of the drill I'm going to be doing a following motion. However, in application it can be either. And details like my last Sinawali, I wanted all 3 to be high attacks. This is very important because the way I'm using this final Sinawali is as a barrage of strikes to finish the fight. I have already made my entry, I've already stunned my opponent, and now I'm looking to finish the fight. So one last time, the combination I'm going to start from here. Simultaneous attacks, following attacks, Sinawali. I'm on the other side. Simultaneous attacks, following attacks, Sinawali. And then you come back to the other side. So I'm going to ask Zarir to just give me a fluid angle 1 strike. Now depending on what orientation you have your together strikes as, so if you're striking like this or as we are striking this combination like this, the hand that's going to be on top, the hand that's going to go to the stick is going to change. So because we're going like this, I'm going to use my right hand to Zarir's right hand on the stick, and my left hand, the stick that's loaded underneath, is going to be going to his hand in a fluid strike. So that's my number one attack. So he gives me an angle 1, bang, I hit the stick, I hit the glove. That's number 1. Let's say Zarir gives me angle 1 and angle 2 with the same hand. I am going to do 1, 2. So I'm hitting the stick, hitting his hand, and then picking up his backhand with a backhand of my own. So one more time, 1, 2, and that's my strike. That's my following strike. Now right now I am not using footwork, I'm only demonstrating how we are using the different motions, but after this we are going to add footwork in. Now let's finish the combination. So we started by protecting ourselves from his attack while attacking his hand. Then we went on to protecting ourselves from his backhand attack and then striking his head. And now we're going to finish with a barrage of strikes to his head. So from the beginning, I hit his hand, I hit his head, and then I finish with a barrage of strikes to his head. So that's the whole combination. 1, following attacks, Sinawali. We are right now sticking to the idea that he's attacking me with a forehand and a backhand. That's why he's wearing a glove on this. So when he gives me the forehand, I'm hitting his hand. When he gives me the backhand, I'm hitting the stick. However, I can also change it up to do it like this. I'm hitting the hand and hitting the stick. I'm hitting the hand and hitting the stick. I can do it that way as well, and then go into a Sinawali. That's another variation that you can do after you're comfortable with this variation. However, the same thing can apply if Zarir gives me an angle 1 broken and an angle 1 from his left hand. So if he has both sticks on his shoulder, he gives me an angle 1, boom, and then an angle 1, same thing applies. My backhand is going to pick up anything that comes from that side. So one more time, 1, bang, and that can either hit his hand or can go to his head depending on what his hand is going to do. What I really want to, before again going into the footwork, what I really want to emphasize on is that regardless of whatever orientation my initial together strikes are, I'm going to call them simultaneous attacks or together strikes, the first follow-up is always something that's going across his body, because I want to pick up anything that's going to come from a backhand from this hand or an attack that comes from this side. If I do any other attack, if I go 1 and maybe I do a jab or maybe I do a rising attack or something, I will not have the same amount of success picking up any follow-up attacks that he might throw at me. Now let's add some footwork into this. My first step is going to be a 45-degree step towards the outside. So if he's striking me with his right hand first, I am taking a step to my left to get to the outside of his shoulders. I don't want to be in between his shoulders, I want to be outside his shoulders. You can have your right leg forward, you can stand like this. I always prefer drilling from a fighting stance, so my right leg is going to be forward. He gives me an angle 1, I hit the glove, hit his stick as I step to the outside. Now from here, it's up, you can step in here if you want. If I was going to do a simultaneous attack and he gives me an angle 2, I would be stepping in with that attack. However, over here when I'm doing a following attack, I may want to do something a little bit different. So he goes 1, I might step back a little bit. So 45-degree step, and then I might do an open triangle. So if I come a bit here, 45-degree step and then an open triangle, just in case I screw up, sorry, a closed triangle, just in case I screw up something to do with how I'm picking up his follow-ups, right? I don't want to get hurt. So one more time, 1, I'm stepping back at an angle, picking that up, and now I can step in if I want to strike and then finish. I can also, if I'm more comfortable, I don't need to step at all. 1, 2, 3, and then step into strike, or 1, 2, step in, I'm stepping in with the strike, and then I can do another closed triangle, retreat as I'm striking this way. Now let's talk about if I have that left hand, if he gives me a broken angle 1 and a broken angle 1 or a fluid angle 1 from his other hand, left hand. So he gives me an attack, boom, I'm moving to the outside, I'm trying to move to the outside, but then I see that coming. So one more time, 1, I'm going to step, try to get to the outside of this hand as well. So one more time, 1, instead of me going here, because Zarir is probably going to be following me, right? So they will follow me, move to follow me. Instead of me continuing trying to flank on that side, I'm going to use his following motion to try and flank on the other side. So I'm here, he's going to follow me, and I'm going to try and flank to the other side, and that's my following, and that's my Sinwari to finish it. One more time, 1, 2, that's the following motion, and that's my Sinwari to finish it. Now let's look at how the same principles translate to knife. Now the reason why we're specifically doing this from a longer weapon to knife is to show how even though the same movements might be there, we need to be able to compensate for the fact that we have a smaller weapon, whether we have an edge or an impact weapon, and what weapon they have. So I will still be using the same motions, I'll still be using the simultaneous hits, I'll still be using following motions, I'll still be using Sinawali motions. However, the attacks or the uses are going to be slightly tweaked. And one more time I'm going to say this, the reason why we're doing this, I'm not trying to teach you a set of techniques, I'm trying to demonstrate how principles translate from one weapon system to the other, and the ways that are inefficient ways of transferring this technology and efficient ways of transferring this technology, because it's unrealistic to think that the exact same ways that I did with a longer weapon is going to be the exact same ways that I do with a shorter weapon. However, the principles will still remain the same. So let's say that Zarir is giving me an angle 1 to the neck. He's going to give me an angle 1 slash. Now I'm doing a simultaneous type of movement. With the stick, one of my weapons was going to his weapon, the other weapon was going to his hand. Now with a knife, as I've stated many times before, this might not be the smartest thing, going knife to knife, right? So instead, my hand is going to go to jamming his hand, and my knife, depending on the range, if I'm close enough, I might go direct to finish the fight, or my knife is going to cut his arm. So if we just change sides, Zarir comes this side. So he gives me angle 1, one hand is going to jam, the other hand, depending on if I'm closer, this can go direct to finish, or if I'm further away, this can go slash. So it's simultaneous. So if he gives me angle 1, that's the one. Now if Zarir tries to do a fluid strike from here, he's just pushing through. This is decently strong structure, and if it's too much pressure, it's easy for me to be able to go to the outside and work from there. So what Zarir is most likely going to need to do is pull the arm back. Like I said, if he's pushing, it's very hard for him to go through. He'll need to go down, or pull back and then attack again, or he'll need to just try and cut my stomach. And that's where we have our knife tapping, all that comes into play, or ways of tying up the knife hand comes into play, which we're not going to talk about right now. Right now we're going to assume that he's just going to pull the knife back so he can attack again with a slash or a thrust. So he gives me an angle 1, I jam and I cut. He gives me an angle 1 again, or a thrust, and I am looking to do a following motion. So I'm going to parry while going to the outside. I'm going to parry his arm while going to the outside. Parry and cut, that's my following motion. My knife is going to follow my hand. So parry and cut. Now from here he's going to give me a backhand of any kind. It can be a thrust, it can be a slash. I am going to pick this up with a thrust of my own, whether it's a thrust or slash. I'm going to pick it up with a thrust of my own. That's the beginning of my Sinawali. This is 1. 2, my hand is going to go to his elbow to try and jam his arms, shove it into his body. And 3, that's going to be the finishing slash or thrust. So it becomes 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 becomes my Sinawali motion, right? Instead of the slash, though, I'm picking up with a thrust. This comes from underneath at the second count. That can be a slash or a thrust. So the whole thing would look like 1, he pulls it back. That's my following motion. He attacks 1, 2, 3. Or again, he gives me a backhand. 1, 2, 3. So I'm still doing a simultaneous motion, a following motion, and a Sinawali motion. It's still there. I just have to tweak them to make them fit within this specific context. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you learned from what you saw, please do like and share this video. Please do subscribe to the channel. If you have anything to add to the discussion, leave that in the comments down below. All of these things really do help out the school and the channel a lot. A huge thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. If you would like to know more about our Patreon page and the exclusive content that we offer there, check out the link in the description down below. Lastly, our online classes are running, our residential program is running. So to train with us from wherever you are in the world, or to come here in Goa and train with us, check out the email address I'm going to leave in the link down below, in the description, down below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you Zarir so much for assisting me, and see you in the next video.